They thought walking away from you would bring them peace, Capricorn. But now, peace is the very thing their soul can't find anymore. When they left, they believed they were escaping something too stable, too serious, too grounded. They thought excitement lived elsewhere, that freedom meant being without you. But freedom has turned into restlessness, and excitement has turned into emptiness. What they didn't realize then was that peace only existed where you were. You see, they believed your silence meant surrender, but it was wisdom. They mistook your calm for weakness, but it was power under control. They thought your patience meant you'd always wait, but they forgot that even patience has a limit when the soul is tired of being misunderstood. And now, their world feels heavier. The laughter that once filled their days sounds forced. Their nights are long, quiet, and haunted by memories they once ignored. Because the one person who carried their chaos with grace, who brought light into their confusion, has withdrawn that sacred energy. You were their balance, their calm in the storm, the grounding force they didn't know they needed. And when you finally walked away, not in anger but in peace, something inside them shattered. They didn't realize that your absence would echo louder than your presence ever did. Now they replay moments, the tone of your voice, the way you listened, the way you stayed even when it hurt. They scroll through old messages looking for something to hold on to, but all they find are the reminders of how much they took for granted. Capricorn, this is what happens when divine energy is mishandled. You were never just a chapter in their life. You were the entire book they never learned to read. If this message already resonates with your spirit, write it in the comments below. They lost a blessing, not a person. Because that's exactly what this story is about. A revelation born out of regret, a realization that came too late. So stay with me until the end, because what's unfolding now in their life isn't just karma, Capricorn. It's divine correction. The universe's way of reminding them that losing someone like you is not an accident. It's a lesson. At first, they didn't notice the silence, Capricorn. They thought you were just taking a little space, that eventually you would return, like you always did. Gentle, forgiving, patient. They had grown used to your understanding heart, to the way you made peace out of chaos. They never believed that one day your silence would become permanent. But when your energy truly pulled back, the air around them changed. The laughter that once came easily now feels forced. The places they once visited with you, the cafes, the roads, the quiet corners, now whisper with emptiness. Even music sounds different now. Every song seems to carry your memory. Every word reminds them of the warmth you brought. They're beginning to understand something that their ego refused to admit before. You were never ordinary. Your presence had a rhythm. It balanced everything around them. Your love was not loud, but it was steady. You were their calm when life felt wild, their ground when everything else was uncertain. Now that you're gone, they can feel it. The imbalance, the void, the loss of that quiet stability that only you could bring. What they mistook for boring was peace. What they thought was predictable was security. This isn't just heartbreak, it's awakening. The universe is forcing them to see what happens when you mishandle a soul that came with divine purpose. Your energy was sacred. It carried healing, structure, and truth. You gave them wisdom without judging, love without condition, and presence without demand. But they were too distracted to notice that kind of grace. Now regret is setting in. Not in loud cries, but like a slow-moving storm. It creeps into their thoughts late at night when they replay the memories and realize how they pushed you away, piece by piece. They can't find the exact moment they lost you, because it wasn't one moment. It was hundreds of small moments. Each one a missed opportunity to love you right. A careless word here. A selfish act there. A day they forgot to listen. A night they failed to say thank you. All those small things added up until your heart decided it had enough. And when you left, you didn't do it to hurt them. You didn't do it to make them chase you. You did it to protect your peace, to heal what their carelessness broke. And now they're facing the silence that once belonged to you. It's not just quiet, it's heavy. Because now every breath without you reminds them of what they lost. Their mind keeps whispering your name, their heart keeps searching for your energy, but you've already ascended beyond their reach. This is the shock of losing a soul like yours, Capricorn. It's not instant pain, it's slow, spiritual, and deeply haunting. Because when someone loses a soul that was sent by heaven to love them, they don't just lose a person. They lose alignment, they lose peace, they lose the reflection of the best version of themselves. And though they may try to move on, every new face, every new connection will carry a shadow of comparison. The quiet realization that no one can ever replace the soul they let slip away. Every Capricorn carries an ancient energy, an energy that doesn't shout but shapes. It's the energy of patience, purpose, and quiet power. When you love, Capricorn, you don't just give emotions, you give structure. You bring peace where there was confusion, you bring rhythm where there was noise, and you build safety around the people you love. You hold others even when you're the one breaking inside. You listen when no one listens to you. You keep showing up, not because you have to, but because your heart is built that way, loyal, grounded, and deeply spiritual. But because of this, people sometimes forget that you're human too. They see your calmness and assume you don't feel pain. They mistake your forgiveness for permission. They think your patience is endless, and that's where your ex went wrong. They thought they could play with your emotions without consequences. They thought you would always understand, always stay, always fix what they broke. They didn't realize that your silence wasn't weakness, it was divine restraint. You were giving them time to see your value before life showed them the cost of losing it. And while you were wiping away your own tears in silence, God was watching. The divine saw every sacrifice you made in the name of love. The times you held your tongue to keep the peace, the moments you prayed for someone who was hurting you, the nights you comforted them when you were the one bleeding inside. God saw the tears you didn't show and the loyalty you gave even when it hurt. And when it became too heavy for your heart to carry alone, heaven stepped in. The divine did what divine justice always does. It whispered into their life, "You don't get to mishandle what was sent to bless you." And that whisper became their reality. It followed them in quiet moments, in the middle of the night when they couldn't sleep, in the middle of laughter that suddenly felt hollow, in the middle of conversations with new people who could never reach the depth you had. Now they're living inside that whisper. Every day, haunted by the thought of what they lost. Every new connection feels temporary. Every smile feels shallow. Every "I love you" sounds empty. Because deep down they know they had something divine and they let it go. They're starting to understand that what you gave them can't be replaced because it didn't come from ego. It came from your soul. You didn't love them for attention or validation. You loved them because your spirit recognized theirs. You saw what they could become even when they couldn't see it themselves. You believed in them when they didn't believe in you. And now that realization hurts them more than any argument ever could. Because they finally understand. Your love was their mirror. It reflected the best version of themselves, the version they lost when they lost you. That's the spiritual lesson they ignored, Capricorn. That's the truth they're forced to face now. That your kind of love was not ordinary, and your presence was not random. It was divine timing, divine testing, and divine teaching, all wrapped into one soul who came to show them what real love feels like. And when they failed that lesson, the universe took you out of their reach, not to punish them, but to protect you. Because when someone mishandles a pure-hearted Capricorn, heaven always rearranges everything, until that person learns that losing you was never just a breakup, it was a spiritual awakening. Capricorn, your silence has become their sentence. They never thought your absence would speak this loudly. They never imagined that the quiet you left behind would be so heavy, so haunting. Now, they scroll through your old photos, looking for traces of the comfort they once took for granted. They type messages in the middle of the night, messages filled with apologies and unfinished thoughts. But before they can hit send, pride and fear stop them. Because deep down, they know it's too late. They see your growth. They see the peace in your eyes, the calm in your energy, the glow that no longer belongs to them, and it stings in a way they can't explain. Because your healing wasn't supposed to happen without them. They wanted to believe that you needed them to rise again. They wanted to see you stuck, waiting, lost without their presence. But instead, you became more powerful in silence than you ever were in their chaos. Every time they come across your name, it hits differently now. It's no longer a name they own, it's a name they remember with regret. It's a name that reminds them of what they couldn't keep, what they mishandled, what they took for granted. And the silence you've given them, it's echoing louder than any words could. Your silence says, "You had me, you lost me, and you weren't ready to meet me at my depth." It's not bitterness, it's truth. Because you never needed to scream, you never needed revenge. Your stillness did the talking. Now they see your posts, your peace, your quiet progress, and it burns in the most spiritual way. Because your energy tells the story. You didn't crumble, you evolved. You didn't chase, you healed. You didn't seek closure, you became it. That's the thing about a Capricorn silence. It doesn't come from weakness, it comes from divine wisdom. It's the silence of someone who has made peace with what happened and released it to the universe. And that peace, that stillness, is now their reminder of what they destroyed. And here's the cosmic truth, Capricorn. Your peace is your loudest revenge. Every time you smile now, heaven smiles with you. Every step you take forward is a declaration that you chose yourself. Every day you wake up calmer, clearer, and stronger. It's the universe restoring the balance that was lost. Because this isn't just personal justice. This is spiritual balance being restored. You didn't need to prove your worth. Life did it for you. You didn't need to expose them. Time revealed everything. And now your silence carries the weight of divine judgment. Not through punishment, but through presence. You are free, Capricorn. And they are finally learning that your silence was never emptiness. It was the sound of their lesson beginning. You didn't chase revenge, Capricorn. You chose rebirth. And that single choice changed everything. It was the moment you stopped seeking validation from those who couldn't see your worth and started walking in the direction of your divine purpose. That decision, quiet and powerful, elevated you beyond their reach. They can feel it now, even from afar. Something about your energy has shifted. You're not the same person they once knew. Your vibration no longer fits in their world. The frequency you carry now is higher, calmer, cleaner. It's filled with self-respect, spiritual awareness, and peace. Things they never gave you but somehow taught you to create for yourself. Where they once drained you, now your energy blinds them. They can't even look at you the same anymore. Not because you've become cold, but because your light reminds them of their own darkness. You're glowing with purpose, and that glow exposes what they still haven't healed. They're realizing that you didn't need to fight to win. You simply walked away, and in doing so, you reclaimed every piece of yourself they once tried to dim. The universe saw your pain and decided it was time to protect you. It wrapped you in spiritual armor, invisible but powerful. Now, no gossip, no manipulation, no attempt to return can pierce that shield. Your peace has become sacred territory that no one unworthy can enter. Your blessings are now arriving in waves, not small ones, but tidal currents of good energy. Opportunities are opening. Friendships are aligning. Peace is finally consistent. Every one of these blessings is proof that your heartbreak wasn't wasted. It was a seed. It had to break open for something greater to grow. Spiritually, you were being refined. The universe burned away what was temporary to reveal what was eternal. Emotionally, you were being purified. The pain you felt washed away the illusions you once clung to. Cosmically, you were being promoted. Heaven was rearranging your destiny so that no one could take credit for your glow except God. And now the same person who once looked down on you can't stop looking back. They keep checking your life from the sidelines, wondering how you keep shining when they expected you to fade. Every success of yours reminds them of what they lost. Every peaceful moment of yours reminds them of the peace they destroyed. But here's the truth, Capricorn. The chapter they're waiting for is already closed. You've turned that page for good. They can replay the past all they want, but the version of you they knew no longer exists. The new you is untouchable. Not because you built walls, but because you built wings. You've become a soul protected by divine timing and guided by spiritual truth. You don't chase, you attract. You don't react, you align. And that is what makes you untouchable. Not arrogance, but evolution. They finally realized who you are, but now they can only watch from a distance as you rise where they once doubted you. Regret is a powerful teacher, Capricorn, but it's also the most painful one. And now, your ex is sitting in that classroom, the one they never thought they'd enter, learning lessons they thought they'd never have to face. At first, they thought the distance would fade. They told themselves they'd move on easily, that they'd find someone who could match their desires, someone who could give them the thrill they thought they were missing. But what they didn't realize is that thrill fades while peace endures. And you, Capricorn, you were peace. You were the calm in their chaos, the balance in their confusion, the grounding force in their storm. Now, in the silence of their own choices, they're beginning to see everything clearly. What they once called boring was actually peace, the kind of peace that only a healed soul can provide. What they once said was too serious was your consistency, your maturity, your loyalty. And what they once mocked as too emotional was divine empathy. Your ability to feel deeply, to understand without words, to heal through love. They used to say you were too much. Now they realize you were exactly enough. In their quiet moments, your memory comes back in flashes. Sudden, uninvited, relentless. It comes when they hear a certain song, when they pass by a familiar street, when they open their phone and see a random date that used to mean something. You live in their small habits, the way they fold a blanket, the food they now crave, the jokes they once laughed at with you. Every detail of their life has a fingerprint of your soul somewhere on it. They remember your presence. Not loud, not dramatic, but steady. You were the one who knew how to calm them down with just a few words. The one who noticed what they didn't say. The one who brought order to their mess and peace to their fire. And now, every new person they meet feels like noise compared to the quiet truth of your love. They can't understand why it feels so empty now. Why every smile they give feels practiced. Why every conversation feels shallow. It's because when they lost you, Capricorn, they didn't just lose a person. They lost their grounding energy, their mirror, their emotional compass. You were the reflection of their better self. And without you, they don't recognize who they've become. That's the thing about your love. It was never ordinary. Your love was spiritual. It didn't just comfort their heart, it awakened their soul. It brought them closer to their purpose, even if they couldn't see it at the time. You saw their potential, you saw their pain, and you loved them anyway. You poured life into them, even when they gave you emptiness. You gave light, even when they only offered shadows. And now, the universe is teaching them something powerful. When you mistreat divine energy, that energy doesn't disappear. It withdraws, and its absence becomes your lesson. Their regret isn't just emotional, it's spiritual. It's in the quiet nights when they can't sleep because their heart won't settle. It's in the laughter that doesn't reach their eyes anymore. It's in the dreams where they see you, not as a memory, but as a reminder of what real connection once felt like. They remember your advice, the things you said that they brushed off. They remember how you used to guide them when they were lost, how you'd tell them not to act out of ego, not to hurt others out of fear. Back then, they thought you were just trying to control them. Now, they realize you were trying to save them from themselves, and that realization hurts more than any heartbreak could. Because it's not just the pain of losing you, it's the shame of realizing that the person who truly loved them was also the one they pushed away. The universe is showing them, very clearly now, you don't recognize gold while you have it, until everything you touch turns back to dust. And that's exactly what's happening. Everything that once glittered in their life is losing its shine. New relationships feel temporary. Promises feel empty. The excitement fades faster now because it was never love they were chasing. It was distraction. And you, Capricorn, you've become the standard they can't meet anymore. Every time they try to connect with someone new, something feels off. They look for your depth in people who can only offer surface. They look for your soul in places where only ego lives. And they come back to the same truth. Your kind of love doesn't come twice. But Capricorn, don't gloat. Don't wish them pain, because this isn't your loss, it's their awakening. You were the lesson their soul needed, but their ego wasn't ready to learn. And sometimes the only way for the soul to grow is through regret. They had to lose your energy to understand its value. They had to feel your absence to see your presence clearly. They had to experience shallow love to appreciate what depth feels like. And you had to let them go so that your soul could rise again, free of the weight that was holding you back. Now, your healing is your testimony. Your glow is your justice. Your peace is your closure. Because the moment you stopped trying to prove your worth to someone who couldn't see it, the universe stepped in and began proving it for you. And while they replay memories, you're creating new ones. While they hold on to the past, you're walking into blessings they'll never be part of. They're stuck at the door you closed, but you've already built a new house on the other side. And that, Capricorn, is divine alignment. This regret they're feeling now, it's not a punishment from you. It's a lesson from God. It's a mirror showing them exactly who they were when you were trying to love them. And as painful as that realization is, it's what will lead them to their own growth, long after you've moved on. So don't look back. Don't wonder if they've changed. Don't reopen what heaven has already healed, because your story isn't about their regret, it's about your rebirth. Their realization is just the universe's way of confirming your worth. And now, your soul is finally free. Free from the cycle, free from the weight, free from the need to be understood by those who were never meant to understand you. Capricorn, you didn't lose anything. You were released, you were promoted, and they are just now realizing what heaven already knew. You were never replaceable.